Welcome to another episode of the Less is More Sports podcast. Matt is back on the show, and we are glad to have him back.
Are you really?
I
You don't
am.
have to. You don't have to flatter me. I saw last week's show. I'm a UK baseball fan now, and I don't exactly know why, but
We know. We all know why. And it's but big shout out to DJ Miller for filling in last week. Dude had a phenomenal show, and he's an even better player on the diamond, an even better person. So always glad to have him on the show. But
I may watch
today's
the
episode.
MLB.
Do
I'm
what?
gonna watch the MLB draft just to see where he goes because I'm excited. I'm excited for him. He did a great job, and if I ever have to do anything ever again, he's my permanent replacement. He is
Fair
the
enough.
Frank Isola to this dynamic. He will always be my fill-in. I am decreeing that now. I don't care if he has to play a Saturday afternoon game with the Twins. You get him on here, okay?
I think he'd make it happen too, regardless.
But yeah, big thanks to him, and I really appreciate him filling the gap. And like I said, I think I'm rooting for UK baseball, and I never expected that to happen. So here we are.
You and me both, but you know what? Sometimes it just happens. But today's podcast, we're going to go back to the 2-minute drill, which is, something the fans tell us you all like very much. And we got a lot of things to talk about today. But, before we get into that, Matt, we always like to talk about some movie takes on this podcast. So you got any ones you just want to share to open up?
I'm trying to think about any movies I've seen lately. It's really been kind of a doldrum. The last one I actually watched was Dune, which I thought was okay because I've read the book. And I knew it was only like the first part of the book, but the first part of the book is the boring part of the book. So I don't know how many people walked in the theaters like, well, what the hell's happening? Because it was only like the first half of the book. And then part two is like the ending of the book. And then there are like three other Dune books that matter. Just read the first Dune. It's 469 pages. It's a bit of a slog, but it's enjoyable at the end of the day. So I watched the movie and I thought it was a pretty good adaptation. But like I said, I can imagine there were a bunch of people who like thought Dune was like a better Star Wars who were just in there like, why aren't they doing anything with the worms yet? The worms are cool. And it's like, you gotta wait for the worms. You gotta wait for them. You gotta wait.
I am one of those people who have not read the book, so I was really confused about the movie Dune, and watching it at home on HBO Max, I'm not gonna lie, I fell asleep a couple times. I actually saw a very underrated horror movie the other night called Wretched, and I am not going to give anything away because it was a very interesting plot. Also watched another very interesting one yesterday called The Tall Man, and I'm not going to lie, the plot twist kind of threw me through a loop. Let's just say the person you're cheering for, you should have never been cheering for in the first place. So kind of like that Jordan Peele take off Us. That person you're cheering for, you're not supposed to be. It's kind of like that with The Tall Man. But those are some of my movie. Do what?
Is that part of the Phantasm series, or is that like a separate entity? Because I know the villain in the Phantasm horror movies is called the Tall Man, so I guess that's probably just a coincidence. But
I think it's just a coincidence. Yeah, I don't think there's any connection between the two. But I think that wraps
up. I love plot twists like that. You have to watch that one.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. If you have
Hulu, I do have a Hulu.
You do have a Hulu?
I have a Hulu.
Not Hulu, but a Hulu.
Netflix and a Hulu. Everyone's got a Hulu. Who knew that everyone had a Hulu?
What's crazy is that people actually buy all these streaming services to get rid of cable, but by the time they actually buy all these streaming services, they're paying the same much for cable. Luckily, cable comes with my condo complex, so I don't have to pay for cable. So that's cool.
Even HBO?
No, it doesn't come with HBO, but it does come with but I do get ACC Network and Big Ten Network and SEC Network with my cable package that comes with my condo. So I was able to watch a lot of Duke basketball over the last couple of days.
That seems like a very fair deal. I would accept that deal 10 times out of 10.
Oh, it is definitely a great deal. I'm not going to lie. How do you think a broke person like me can afford all these nice things? Come on now.
Your looks?
That too. My girlfriend would agree with that.
You just give someone the wink like, come on. And they're like, okay, you can have free cable.
I've been told I have very pretty eyes too. So that you might be going somewhere with the
you got the puppy dog look down. You just haven't exposed us to it yet because you know it would be too powerful.
I mean, between me and Bean with the puppy dog look, that's a
Oh
combination you
God.
don't want. Yeah.
You would be able to take over the world government at that point. You could just
You know
march
what?
into
I
the
never thought
UN.
about it. I never thought about it. You might be going somewhere.
You could just march into the UN and declare yourself dictator of the world, and Bean would just be like, "Yes, good. The humans will suffer."
Forget this podcast. I might just do that tomorrow. Forget
Bean
going to
the
work.
dictator.
Just walk into the United Nations, me and Bean give them the puppy dog eyes, and then we take over the world. All right. You know what? I got my game plan for tomorrow. We're good.
Bean controls the world economy. More bones and pet scratches for me. Yes,
Every
Bean.
hour on the hour, I get a treat.
I get to hurt Doofus in many nefarious ways. I am the Emperor Bean.
Oh, poor Doofus. If that ever happens, man, I'll pray for you, Doofus. I'll pray for you.
Forget this. Top 5 things that would happen if Bean was declared dictator of the world.
In the comment section below, we want to hear your opinions.
If Bean ruled the world, X would happen. What would happen, people? You got to let us know.
Oh, buddy. All right. So
Now that we've gotten off to a great start, I'm not doing that. You know I can't do that.
Yeah, you did though. You got. Oh no, you messed it up.
I'm getting better. I just need to keep.
All right, got to catch my composure. Ready? Let's go. All right. Anyways,
let the fun begin.
Let the fun begin. All right, Matt, do you have the timer ready?
The timer is always ready.
Always wetty. It's always wetty.
Always wetty. Elmer Fudd here says we're ready to go.
It'd be better if one of us was named Fred, so Matt could just be like Wetty Fwetty.
Wetty Fwetty.
All right, so going into our first topic. All right, Odell Beckham Jr. goes to the Rams, joining Von Miller. What are realistic expectations for the Rams? Start the timer. All right, look, on paper, the Rams are one of the most loaded teams that we've seen in recent memories. However, we cannot get caught up in the big names and understand that football is a game where you can't just plug in players here and there. They have to learn a system. So these things are going to take time. With the talent they have, it's realistic to believe that they can make a deep playoff run, but do not believe that this team is Super Bowl or bust. You are buying way too much into the hype, and that is all I have to say.
I disagree, I think when you make moves like this, you are saying that you are Super Bowl or bust because the Rams have no draft, basically. They've gotten rid of it. They've eschewed it in favor of getting superstars who may be toward the end of their rope, who are trying to either reinvent themselves or aim for one last deal. And when you've got a guy like Matt Stafford, who the clock is running out on, and you go out and you commit to getting an Odell Beckham, who is a big play receiver when he's good, you're saying that we are going all in to have the Super Bowl in our house to get fans on our side, and we're ready to go. And now that Odell Beckham move seems a lot more genius given what happened to Robert Woods. I mean, he's out for the year. His ACL is torn. He tore it in practice. But it's also why the Odell Beckham move was completely necessary. Even though he wasn't hurt at the time, I never realized really how kind of thin the Rams receiving core was. Cooper Kupp is great. Van Jefferson's starting to come into his own. You've got Higbee. But now even though Woods is hurt, you have a big play guy if he plays up to what we know he could do. As for the Von Miller move, I'm well aware that it's not 2015 anymore. But let's not forget that Von Miller is the fourth option on this defense. You've still got Aaron Donald, who's going to take up 2 guys. You've got Leonard Floyd, who's very underrated. And if your quarterback thinks he can overcome that, he's got to be mindful of where Jalen Ramsey is at all times. And someone's going to get a one-on-one with Von Miller, who, if he's healthy after that ankle injury, is going to get a lot of one-on-ones and a lot of sacks. I think they're saying that it's Super Bowl or bust in LA. And here we go. Come on. Yeah. All right, that's enough out of you.
You are done. Stop it.
Stop it. Halt, you stupid timer.
All right. As we head from one big free agent move, or really move, Cam Newton is back in Carolina. How significant is it? It is 110% significant, Matt, because he never should have left. You're talking about the greatest quarterback in Carolina Panthers history that almost was blackballed by the organization, sent out because of his quote-unquote personality or whatever, become, in a sense, kind of a journeyman, going to the Patriots and then not really knowing if he's going to even have a job left. Now he's back in Carolina, made the most of the opportunities he had in his first game back. And when he scored his first touchdown on the ground and you faced the camera and yelled, "I'm back," that's something you absolutely love to see. So this is the perfect opportunity for Carolina to redeem itself in Cam Newton's eyes.
Cam Newton is one thing, but earlier this year, I even thought with Sam Darnold that the Panthers had a pretty good shot to sneak in with that 7th seed in the playoff. And then Sam Darnold started seeing ghosts again, and it looked like the Carolina Panthers were completely falling apart to the point where they had to go back out and get their quarterback they rejected a couple years ago and try to see if they can beat the 1 seed in the NFC, who is like one of the most dynamic offenses we've ever seen. And they scored 20 points in the first quarter. Now, I know Kyler Murray's hurt, but that's still a huge win, going to the Western time zone with a quarterback who you just signed that week, who looks absolutely like he never missed a step when he left Carolina the first time. I really think that Cam Newton may be a better this season option than Sam Darnold at this point, because he does do things that Sam Darnold can't. He can run the football. He's better when it comes to protecting the football from turnovers, I think. I really think that now Carolina has an even better chance of sneaking into that 7th seed than they did a couple weeks ago, when it looked like things were falling apart. They had just got blown out by the Patriots. There's no more Patriots on the schedule. The NFC South looks pretty wide open. Even they're not going to beat Tampa, even though Tampa looks injured. But I think the Carolina Panthers with Cam Newton are going to be a redemption story that may end up in the playoffs before we know it.
Let's go.
I thought you hurt yourself. Les tears ACL, celebrating in his.
Let's go.
Oh gosh. Cam Newton, don't sue us, please. We love you, Cam Newton. Please don't sue us. We know that's your celebration.
No, that's what I was saying. I got to give my props to Cam Newton. I had to hit the Superman for him one time. That is my allude to Cam Newton. I love Cam Newton. I'm happy to see him back in his home and actually going to play well. So no, this is
wait. I thought the Superman was when you go, whoa, like that, like let Soldier Boy.
Oh, that's that Soldier Boy dance. Let's not. Yeah. I'm not gonna do that on. Yeah. I mean, there's probably an old video at my mom's wedding when I was in 8th grade of me doing of cranking that Soldier Boy, but not gonna do it here on the podcast.
I didn't know
maybe,
Soldier Boy.
Depending. If we get enough views, maybe though.
I didn't even know Soldier Boy was a thing until I got to college.
Oh,
and then everyone's like, "You've never done the watch me," and then I'm like, "No, I don't even know what that is. I've never even heard of that."
If we get 50 likes, I will crank that Soldier Boy on the podcast.
I might even attempt it. Even though I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure what we're cranking or what that is. I'm still gonna try it.
Yeah, just watch a YouTube video of it.
Okay, now I'll learn how to dance from YouTube, and I'll just go, "Whoa, watch me." Everyone will be like, "This man is incredibly white," and I'll be like, "Yes, I am. I am very bad at this. I am very bad at this." All right, next topic. Hopefully, it's not about Soldier Boy.
It's not. It's about the team that Cam Newton's most recent team, the Patriots. The Patriots are in a rhythm and in serious contention to make the playoffs. Is this the best coaching job by Bill Belichick? It absolutely is. Look, the Patriots almost have a staple of being able to make the most with maybe not the biggest names on the roster. The problem is, in the past, they've had a certain guy by the name of Tom Brady at quarterback. They don't have him anymore. He's with the Bucs. You have a rookie quarterback that almost was arguably a system quarterback at Alabama, but now he stepped in my opinion, been the best rookie in this class up to this point. With them hitting their stride, if they make the postseason with a rookie quarterback and continuous not big names like they've done in the past, this is absolutely the best job that Bill Belichick has done, because we all know the big conversation when Tom Brady left for Tampa Bay is which one of the two needed each other the most. And as of right now, Tom Brady looks like to be the one that Bill Belichick needed the most. Now, for him to make the playoffs is going to answer a huge question on how much Belichick needed Tom Brady. And this will be the first time in his coaching career that he makes the playoffs without Tom Brady.
I have to agree. I don't even think that it's necessarily all coaching. We have ragged on the Patriots before for making some pretty questionable draft picks and some pretty mediocre free agent signings. But it seems like everything they've done this year has hit. Matthew Judon looks amazing. Mac Jones look amazing. Darashaw from Alabama is a great pass rusher. It seems like Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, they're both fitting in well with that offense. And of course, Mac Jones. And when I look at the AFC, there's not a lot of consistently great teams in the AFC alone. And the Patriots, we left them for dead, and now they're hot because their young quarterback's starting to feel the groove of everything. The offense is set up perfectly for him. And this is one of the best Bill Belichick defenses we've ever seen. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw the Patriots in the AFC Championship game just because of their consistency. Be consistent. Be consistent. Be consistent. Win a championship. New England still sucks, though.
That's the Colts fan in us.
I still hate them, but I have to respect it. You hate the player. You hate the player. You respect the grind, or is it respect the drip? I don't know.
Yeah, it's both. But
I'm gonna quit trying to be hip and just talk like a turn of the century like gentleman now and be like the old 23 skidoo to New England and when they come to Indianapolis. Because I'm going to sound like a complete idiot or say something I don't intend to say. So I'm just going to stop because I don't even drip is your outfit, right?
Yes.
Drip is an outfit. Okay, so that didn't even make any sense. I'm going to stop. I'm going to
okay.
stop being hip. We're just going to talk in old terms. It's going to be great. Gonna Lindy hop to the next topic. It's going to be a wonderful time.
Well, the next topic, we have the team that the Patriots absolutely obliterated yesterday in the Cleveland Browns. A simple yet short but simple question. Is it time to sit Baker Mayfield? And anyone who watches this podcast knows that I am a Baker Mayfield advocator. Even though he has not been the franchise-changing quarterback you expect with that number 1 overall pick, he is still a very good game manager nonetheless. However, it is 110% time to sit Baker Mayfield because he was already nursing a shoulder injury that is not getting better with rest. It requires surgery. Not to mention he suffered a leg injury at the end of that Patriots game yesterday. So it is time, rather than just to keep him out there and keep getting hurt, he needs to sit and get healthy, because the Browns have up to this point have disappointed based on the expectations they were given in the offseason. I don't see them turning it around. Chubb and Hunt are already hurt. Well, Chubb was hurt, came back, now he's on COVID. Hunt is hurt. It's better off for them just to get healthy and just regroup next year.
I really thought you were just going to say that because of the way he played, and I was like, well, let's back the truck up on him. But you actually make a really good argument there. I completely forgot about that labrum thing. And I mean, I think you're right. At this point for the year, Cleveland, Chubb will come back. He'll still be really good. Dearness Johnson looked really good except yesterday, which was just abysmal in every way, shape, and form. But they did blow the Bengals out the week before that. And I mean, I really don't know if you improve or get worse with Case Keenum. I mean, he beat the Broncos, for goodness sake. You're probably not going to, you're out of the divisional race at this point. Well, you're not out of it totally. You're still contending mostly for the wild card. And the teams in a wild card are very similar to you. They have good rosters, but mediocre quarterbacks. So it's just up to you if you're the Cleveland Browns. You already told Baker Mayfield you weren't going to give him a big deal. If you do this, you may burn that bridge, but are you better off burning the bridge is the question Cleveland needs to ask themselves. So it's really it's a tough choice. But I go with Keenum. Jazz hands.
Yeah, I like Baker, but I mean, at this point, it's not worth getting injured anymore.
And you've already said we're not giving you a big deal. So I mean, if you're gonna burn the bridge now, so you don't have to deal with it going forward.
Right. On to the
I'll
next
say
topic. A team that Baker Mayfield hates, and that is, but he is going to love this next topic. Texas loses to Kansas in football. Has Texas football reached a new low? Look, as I knew in a lot of ways that the Sark era would struggle at the beginning. And as bad as this looks, I keep saying this, and I can't stress this enough. We have to be patient with the Sark era. He is trying to establish a new culture, a culture that has been different from that these players are not used to really since Mac Brown left. The schemes are there. The players just need to execute. And the more familiar they get with the culture and the schemes, the more executing will happen. This is going to be a tough year, but it's going to make it even sweeter when the Texas turnaround finally happens. So be patient, Texas fans, and trust the Sark era. And it's still all gas, no brakes.
You know, the one thing that scares me when we say things like that, we know they're going to turn around. No one stays down to Kansas forever. And I mean, they did come back because it was what 35-14 in halftime, and they came back and forced Kansas to score 57 points in overtime. But the thing that scares me about this is we keep saying the turnaround will happen, but the turnaround isn't going to happen when you have a team like Kansas that you can womp on. The turnaround's going to happen when you're somewhere in the SEC, and you ain't going to be able to do that to Mississippi State. You aren't going to be able to do that. The only team you could probably do that to is Vanderbilt. And that's if you get to play them if you're in the SEC East or whatever. So that is what kind of scares me. I do think Texas will right the ship. This 5-game losing streak is just an anomaly in every way, shape, and form. And, bowl eligibility isn't out of the question still. So there's a chance for a rebound. But like you said, it's a first season. And the one thing that scares me about it is just where Texas will be in 2 or 3 years. And by that point, I think they'll be a lot better than they are now because they'll have mostly guys recruited by Sark and his scheme will be in place. So don't hit the panic button yet, Texas. Texas, dollar bills. Stack them and keep Steve Sarkisian. Do it. Da-da, bam. Greatest ending of any song of all time.
All right, now transitioning to that team that Baker Mayfield actually played for, and that's Oklahoma. Oklahoma ends their undefeated season falling to Baylor. Is the Big 12 officially out of the college football playoff? As as a fan of a team in the Big 12, I was never convinced really that. Actually, no, I I don't really think the Big 12 was good enough this year to put a team in the college football playoff. I know I had the preseason expectations for Oklahoma, but they really just haven't impressed me at all. So I think they're done. I think they're done at the college football playoff. So that's just me.
Les, have you
Mhm.
seen that GIF from Step Brothers of John C. Riley's character just going, "Yep"?
Yes.
That's all I gotta say. Yep. I mean, there's no way. Oklahoma, even at undefeated, was ranked ninth in the country. And
Mhm.
granted, there was a lot of football left to be played. The Big Ten still needs to beat the heck out of each other for a champion. The SEC still needs to beat out of each other for a champion. But now it's not going to happen. The right now, if the season ended, the championship game in the Big 12 would be Oklahoma, who's ninth, and Oklahoma State, who's somewhere back in the mid-teens. That's not really the chance that Georgia or Alabama is going to get against one another. That's not even or anything the Big Ten is going to do. The stigma with the Big 12 is going to remain that it's an offensive league. I really don't see a way they get a team in there, especially coming all the way from ninth. However, the one team that's very happy about this, your Cincinnati Bearcats, who now are sitting pretty, waiting for the other conferences to beat each other up, and could now easily sneak into that 4 seed depending on what happens with Oregon and Utah this week, and what happens as the Big Ten and the SEC run the course. But yeah, the Big 12, it's done. There's no team in there that looks dominant now. Even Oklahoma, although undefeated, barely looked dominant. It's going to be another season without the Big 12 in the playoff, and that sucks for Oklahoma, but they're out. They're done. Bye-bye, Oklahoma. You had a good season for a while. Baylor's coach scares me. He has no emotion. He's like this. That was my impression of Baylor's. Oh, I didn't know it was a contest. I have to turn the timer off. That's not fair. But yeah, Baylor's coach is just like a football platitude machine. We won in the trenches. Love my team. We play for each other. Go Bears.
He's kind of got that Bill Belichick and Greg Popovich vibe to him.
Kind of. Even though he seems even scarier. He seems like, at least I feel like I could fight off Bill Belichick and Greg Popovich if they were chasing me in the woods with a knife. This guy seems like he would like track me down and then just like put my head on a pike or something. Very scary man. Bald heads do it every time.
I think with Popovich, you still get that some of those like snarky responses that we all just know and love.
Yes, but I don't think Greg Popovich is malicious. Like, I don't think Greg Popovich has like a secret torture chamber in his house or anything. And
I don't think so. No.
I
don't know. I've never been to his house, but I don't know.
I don't know if we'd ever get invited to his house. That would be kind of weird. I imagine he wears like a very elaborate bathrobe and has wine in his hand 24/7.
Everyone, you must address him as Pop before you enter.
Almighty Pop, may I enter your abode? And he'll be like, you may enter.
He'll be like, yes, enter.
This show is off the rails. I love it. I love the show when it gets off the rails.
It makes it more entertaining. I mean, yeah, we're not just like robots talking sports and like reading off.
Like a Baylor coach who is a robot talking sports.
Mm-hmm. Anyways.
We figured him out. On to the next topic. We have
one of those that team that you said that I like very much, the Cincinnati Bearcats. There are currently 4 teams ranked above them. Which of the 4 teams ranked above Cincinnati has the best chance to lose to get the Bearcats in the college football playoff? Now, my answer is going to surprise you just because of how well they've been playing as of recent, but I think it is 100% the Ohio State Buckeyes. And the reason I say that is because next week they have a big matchup with Michigan State and the Heisman favorite, Kenneth Walker III. The week after, they have a battle with number 8 Michigan. And then they still have the Big Ten championship to go to. So they have by far the toughest schedule to end the season. So I think they have the best chance to get a loss and get Cincinnati into the college football playoff.
I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to go with the team I said a minute ago, Oregon. Because Utah matches up very well with them. That game will be at Utah. They have a game in Corvallis for a rivalry against Oregon State. And you know rivalry games, they're called that for a reason. Literally anything can happen in those because it's pure chaos at its essence. And it's the best post-Thanksgiving treat we ever get is rivalry week, the last week of the season in college football. So Oregon, I think, and then they'll have to play Utah again, who will know what to expect in the Pac-12 championship game. So I'm going to go with Oregon for now, simply because I don't think they're on the same kind of advanced level against their competition as Ohio State or Alabama or Georgia. Now, of course, the question becomes when you're looking at the committee is Alabama and Georgia are like the unmovable force and the heading for the unmovable object. And it's going to be interesting to see who gets budged and how much so, because Georgia just appears to be on another level. And if Alabama has 2 losses, what do you do? And let's not forget that Alabama still has Arkansas and Auburn to go through to get to the SEC championship game. So there's a lot that could happen, but I'm going to take Oregon. I apologize to the Ducks. Oh, this hurts. Why did I, Bernie? Da-da, bam. It pains me because I love the Oregon Duck mascot so much, but I
Well, I've
can't.
had an
I
Oregon
gotta
player
go.
on this podcast.
Great. Now they're never gonna come back on, and they're gonna hurt me, and I'm gonna end up in like Eugene in a box with like surrounded by a bunch of discarded Nike shoes floating down the river. It'll be like Goodfellas, but I'm gonna have like an Oregon Duck mascot head taped to me, and I won't be able to see anything.
No, this is like Prince of Egypt, only they're going to ship you down the river in a Nike box.
Oh, Jesus. Well, then I'll get found somewhere and I'll become like a spokesman for Puma? I don't know.
Hey,
I
Puma's
don't
on
know.
the rise in basketball. Puma is
I
on the
don't know
rise.
how this works. I
But anyway,
just get found at an abandoned Reebok factory in a Nike box. Like, they'll never look here.
but no, Jackson is a very nice guy. You have nothing to worry about with him. He'll be, yes, he's a very nice guy. And yes, he knows that you are just doing your job as a podcast host. But anyways, on from college football to college basketball, and just a very simple question. Given what we've seen so far, what are just some early takeaways from this college basketball season? Now, look, guys, I know you all are expecting me to get on here and talk about my Blue Devils. And by the way, Kentucky fans, I love y'all. But anyways, yes, Duke looks very good. Paulo Banchero is the truth. Trevor Keels has been a very pleasant surprise playing this good this early. And Wendell Moore is starting to play like the player I thought he would be when I predicted him to win ACC Player of the Year. Fun fact, has the 5th triple-double in Duke history against Army. They need to look a little better than they did against Campbell, but you know what? It'll be okay. Defense is really good, has good depth. I really like what I've seen from the Blue Devils. But the team that I am going to say that I am the most impressed with up to this point is Gonzaga. Because as you all also know, I am a Texas fan. Texas is a very good team. 6 key transfers came in, all of which produced at a high level in college basketball. And they looked like they did not deserve to be on the same floor as Gonzaga on Saturday night. This is a team that lost Jalen Suggs, lost Joel Ayayi, lost Corey Kispert, but they reload other players. They brought in the number 1 player in the country, and Chet Holmgren, who didn't have a star-studded box score night, but still had an impact nonetheless. He shut down the side of the floor he was on. You still have Ryan Nembhard, who is a very good point guard. You still have depth and other players that Mark Few just finds a way to find players that you don't think about. But more than or anything, Texas had no answer for Drew Timme, who could do whatever he wanted on the court and on his way to a career night. So I am the most impressed with the number 1 team in the country who just looks head and shoulders above the rest as of right now. Now, we got a matchup in a cup and not that much longer with my Blue Devils, and I think it'll be a little different, but Gonzaga looks to have not missed a beat from that championship appearance a year ago.
Thank you for giving me time to talk.
Let's restart the timer and get Matt some time to talk.
No, I'll do it. I'll be fine in a second. The timer just acted funny. It's okay. So, I'm going to keep it brief to keep us moving a little bit. Basically, the 2 teams I was surprised the most by were Rutgers and Florida. Florida, because they just came away with like a near 20-point win at Florida State, which is something that generally doesn't happen to Florida State. Mike White's team looks very good defensively. They look very consistent offensively. They just were running circles around Florida State, which is something I'm just not used to seeing. That to me is a very impressive early season win because it's not even a neutral site. It is at Florida State, at an ACC school for your first or second game of the year. And the reason Rutgers surprises me is because they've been kind of slow. They are 2-0, but they beat Lehigh 73-70, which, that's generally doesn't happen. And then this weekend they beat Merrimack 50-35. 50 points in one game. That's really kind of shocking. They're really missing Miles Johnson, but I think the Scarlet Knights will be fine once they right the ship. And my other big surprise this week was Nebraska, a team who I didn't think was going to be good, but seemed much improved, just losing to Western Illinois at home, which is never good. So disappointing goes to Rutgers, surprising in a good way, goes to Florida. Surprising in a bad way, goes to Nebraska for me, because it's not always about the big teams. All right. Do 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 do. Next topic.
Next topic. The Packers overcome a slow start to blank Seattle. Is Green Bay the team to beat in the NFC? Look, Green Bay is playing as good as anyone in the NFC right now. But I am a firm believer that until the defending champ, which is also plays in the NFC, is knocked out, that they will always be the team to beat. And I still believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be the team to beat in the NFC. We all know what's going to happen when the more important the games get and how good Tom Brady is going to be. Also, Aaron Rodgers still has to prove that he can get past the NFC Championship game. So I am going to, until he gets past the NFC Championship game, I'm going to pump the brakes on the Packers being the team to beat in the NFC.
I hate to do this because I know it's going to make a certain Packer fan pop up in our DMs and be like, I told y'all, but yeah, I think they are. As much as I hate to say it, when they overcame the COVID Aaron Rodgers thing and the distraction of that and beat Kansas City, when they don't score and Aaron Rodgers throws an interception on the first drive and they're getting kind of, somewhat booed a little bit at home, those are good chances to fall apart, but they didn't. I think the Packers, although they don't make a lot of splashy moves, have made the right moves. They're going to get Jair Alexander back at some point. They got Whitney Merciless from the Texans. Their offense, big playability will come and go, but as long as Devontae Adams is healthy, that's really all you need to distract receivers. The thing with the NFC is consistency. And there aren't a lot of consistent teams in the NFC or in the NFL this year. But the Packers have pretty much day in and day out looked pretty good. I mean, their two losses are kind of acceptable. Like I said, one's a COVID Aaron Rodgers game. They didn't fold. They had every chance to win that. And if you can do that, then I really think that you're good enough to win the NFC. So, yes, I think the Packers really are the best team in the NFC. Get your cheese ready. Cheese.
Oh, got a DM already.
I'm supposed to be grading cheese.
We haven't even published the podcast yet. And we already got the DM. Oh, wow.
From who? Oh, RJ? Oh. I said his name.
It was a joke. It was a joke. It has not come yet. It has not come yet.
I was say, how did he even know? Because, I mean,
he always knows. He always knows, Matt.
He's got a sixth sense. I'm waiting for him to pop up in our chat room now, like in that horror movie, like what, Unfriended or whatever. And it's just like, I heard y'all were talking about the Packers.
My Packer senses are tingling.
Dun, 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 dun. I need to defend Aaron Rodgers wherever he is.
I still love that joke I always said about RJ. Teacher, what's the square root of 144? RJ, Aaron Rodgers.
He's a bad man.
He's a bad man. And I love your comment too. He said, I had several speech classes with RJ, and they were all about Aaron Rodgers. RJ, we love you, buddy. We love you, RJ.
We love you. This is all in jest, and RJ does not sound like any of these stupid, exaggerated voices we're doing for him. But
this is all inside jokes that we have with RJ himself, so we are in the clear.
Yeah, he knows. But yeah, one time we did a speech about Aaron Rodgers' hair products, and it was great. No, that actually didn't happen. That's a joke.
I might do one on Trevor Lawrence's hair products.
Oh my gosh, you should see it in person. You could see it from where I was sitting. I was like, I went to the Colts game yesterday when they played the Jaguars, and we could just see oh, there goes Trevor Lawrence, because there would be the sheen of blonde light reflecting into the stands gloriously, and we'd be like, there he is.
Hey, there he is.
That's Trevor Lawrence. Even from the sidelines, it was I can see which one is Trevor Lawrence. He's always got his helmet off when he's not on the sideline, and I'm just like, yeah, I can see him from here. That's definitely not Urban Meyer's hair, as much as he wishes it was. But
I was like, heck, I wish it was my hair. I mean, geez, I'm going bald up top.
Me too. That's what I told my friend at the game. I was like, I wish my hair was that beautiful.
Mm-hmm. But yes, I might do a speech on his hair products. But anyways, I think it's time to move on to the next topic.
Yes, it is, because this is going to get crazy if we don't.
Chiefs look vintage in a big win over the Raiders. What are their realistic goals for the rest of the year? And the week prior, I specifically said after that third down conversion to seal the game that the Chiefs would rebound and that they would start to look like the vintage Chiefs. You can tell a lot by a player by his body language, and when Mahomes gave that fist pump, I knew that something just clicked and that they were going to be back. And what happened yesterday? An absolute obliteration of the Las Vegas Raiders. And Mahomes was back in the vintage form, throwing 5 touchdown passes. The Chiefs are back, and they are ready to contend in the AFC yet again.
I agree. I mean, when you look at the AFC West, they went from the cellar and a couple games under 500 to being in first place again because they beat on I think it's already starting with that midseason crash of, hi, Bean, please don't become dictator of the world. The midseason collapse of the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, they're incorporating the running backs into the game plan. Patrick Mahomes is throwing jump passes again with joy. He's jumping for joy, literally, and not committing an illegal forward pass. I think they're back. It just depends on how well, like always, how well that defense holds up and how many points they're willing to give up and still let Patrick Mahomes cook. That's what it comes down to. But yeah, they're still in first place in that division, which becomes more and more unstable every week because we're going to talk about this in the next topic. Nobody knows what's happening to the Chargers right now. The Raiders are falling apart. The Broncos, they're 5-5, but really they should be 4-6 at this point. So I mean, the Chiefs have as good of a chance as any to get right back where we thought they were at the start of the year. It seems like they faced their adversity, they've done their time in purgatory, and now Patrick Mahomes is gloriously ascending to heaven yet again. He may not be the MVP, but he's still the best quarterback in that division, and that's the bottom line.
He's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I'll just go ahead and say it.
I just said he wasn't the MVP. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I'm just afraid that Tom Brady is going to win the MVP by default.
Hey, he might. Actually, yeah, I spoke too soon. Tom Brady is still the GOAT, but yes, Patrick Mahomes is still like the baby goat.
There can be multiple goats. You have a herd of goats. That's how you get goat milk and goat cheese.
Fair enough. You have the GOAT, and then you have the baby goat. The GOAT being Tom Brady, baby goat being Mahomes.
And then you have Carson Wentz, the GOAT of making me nearly scream in pain when he goes like this with a football. Those passes are even more terrifying in real life. I was about ready to cry. It was worse than any horror movie I had ever seen.
I can imagine.
Moving on to something more light and airy.
Yes. Who the hell are the Vikings? Well, look, Matt, the Vikings are a very talented team, but the problem is they struggle to close games out. You saw it against Baltimore and other games prior. They get a lead against a good team, but then they don't close. That's the problem. It's the problem I had talking to girls when I was a kid. I could, introduce myself, but when it comes time to say something creative to maybe like keep them interested, I'd be like, no. So the Vikings were a lot like me in the sense that I could not close. And now against the Chargers, they were able to close. So that is who the Vikings are, a talented team that often struggles to close. But when they do, they do.
You talk to girls? How do you do that? I've never talked to a girl before in my life. I'm kidding.
I don't know.
I'm kidding.
Know how to do it. How did I get a girlfriend? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know why it was about me either. Oh, geez, this is gonna sound sad. Let's just go. Minnesota is the most confusing team in the NFL because nobody likes Kirk Cousins, and yet he's good enough to win. They've got Dalvin Cook, who's one of the best running backs in the league, who nobody talks about. They've got Justin Jefferson, who's one of the great young receivers in the league that nobody talks about, it seems. The Minnesota Vikings should be in that 7th seed long before you think the Carolina Panthers would be. But like you said, they just cannot close a game. They've nearly lost to the Lions and also beaten the Baltimore Ravens. But those are both nearlies because nobody knows what's going on. Yes, I have a strobe light going on behind me. It's okay. So I really don't know what the answer to this is, but they have a really telling game against Green Bay this week that is going to tell us whether this team is consistent and just needs help closing it out, or if they're still light years behind where they need to be, and if Mike Zimmer needs to be shown the door to the colds of Minnesota. So to answer your question, I think they're a playoff team. They just need to focus on closing it out. And when I talk to girls, usually I throw in a fun fact about a dinosaur. That gets their attention. Dinosaurs, old-timey baseball players, Civil War generals, prehistoric life from the Cambrian era. I've used a lot of bad pickup lines. Star Wars, that's a good pickup line. World War II fun facts, that's a good one. The history of the U.S. presidency, that's a good one. 60 psychedelic rock bands with one hit, that's always a popular one. As you can tell, I am very good at parties. You should hire me. I will come and say dumb crap at your party, and people will be intrigued because they wonder who the hell knows this crap. And I'll be like, it is I. I know this dumb crap. And they'll be like, wow, you're full of crap. Cunning, intelligent crap. And I'll be like, yes, I am craptacular.
That is I.
It is I, the craptacular one.
The crap.
Behold my fun facts of random knowledge. I'll host your trivia night. I'll host your trivia night for 5 easy payments of $5.99.
That's a lot harder to do than when I usually just bat my eyes and me and Bean give him the puppy dog looks. That's usually how it goes for me.
But we discussed that's how we're taking over the world. You can't use it on as a pickup and take over the world. Then people will get used to it. They'll see around it.
Oh, they haven't yet.
Oh, they have. I'm sure they haven't.
Oh, he heard it. He heard him. He heard it. Oh, Bean, you got something to say? Oh, here
gosh,
we go.
The dictator is back. It's Dictator Bean.
There it is. The puppy dog look.
I'm going to rule the world. You cannot stop me, mortal humans. This is Bean's planet now. Doofus, I'm coming for your ass. It will be mine.
All right, bud. All right, so we're going to move on to the last topic of the 2-minute drill, and we're going to take it to the NBA. I think a league that we have not covered yet. The Wizards are in the driver's seat in the Eastern Conference. How did this happen? Is it sustainable? When I look at the Wizards roster, this is a guy that this is a roster that if you looked on social media before the season started, were a bunch of guys that a bunch of internet trolls thought should be playing in China next year. This is a group of guys that are out to prove something, and they're here to say, look, we weren't as bad as you all seem to think we are. We just maybe weren't in the best situation to showcase how good of players we are. So this is a roster of guys that are ready to prove themselves and win some games. Now, is it sustainable? Depends on the context of what you mean sustainable. First in the Eastern Conference, no. Playoff spot, as we know in our NBA preview, I predicted the Wizards to make the playoffs. So I believe they will be in the playoffs and could definitely surprise some people with maybe a win or so in a series. But yes, the Wizards are a better team than what many thought going into the preseason, and I think will make the playoffs. Do I think they'll be atop the Eastern Conference, though? No.
I agree totally because I think what the problem with the Wizards is we've come to think of depth in a different way now than it used to mean. Because when I look at the Wizards, I see a deep team. And by that, I don't mean that it's like the Lakers who have Westbrook, Melo, God knows who else, Davis. I see a team that's good at every position and has at least 2 guys who are young enough and eager enough to go in and do some damage. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Kyle Kuzma or Bradley Beal or Montrezl Harrell. They've got good pieces. They've got good depth. And that's what's going to make a difference. They're 9-3 right now in the Eastern Conference. They played an okay schedule. I really think that the Washington Wizards have the potential to finish outside of the play-in tournament pretty ahead of it, actually, because they have a lot of good depth and they have a lot of good pieces, which is something a lot of teams can't say because they're invested in their superstar players only. All right, Les, do you want to reveal that we're doing what we're doing now, or do you want me to do it?
I will reveal what we are doing now because normally the fans of this podcast know that this is usually the point in the podcast where we go into what used to be everyone's favorite segment in our top 5. However, we're going to try something new because you know what? We got to switch it up and keep you on here. Oh, what kind of hat is that? It
It'll
matches
make
your
sense.
shirt.
Oh, yeah. It'll make sense.
Yo, the hat matches your shirt. That is some serious drip right there, bud.
Oh, it'll just wait. Keep going.
All right. So, anyways, this segment is called Take the Bait. And Matt is going to give me some hot takes and he's going to add, and then I'm going to say whether I take the bait or not. So, Matt, without further ado,
In my shark hat, we are taking the bait. I love
that's
it.
a shark hat?
It's a shark. See?
Oh, I
There's
see
the
it
eye.
now.
There's
Okay, yeah, I see
so
it
see, I
now.
wore my shark hat for taking the bait. So here we go.
I got you now.
Les, are you going to take the bait on hot take number 1? Seattle. They're not getting any better. Their playoff hopes are lost. They've traded away the draft. Is it time to force Pete Carroll out as head coach of the Seattle Seahawks?
I'm not taking the bait. No, because at the end of the day, Pete Carroll has been the best coach in Seattle history. I think ride it out. They've had some injuries with, especially at Russell Wilson at quarterback, who missed several games with a finger issue. And of course, it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but when you're a quarterback, that finger is on your throwing hand. That is a big deal. So Seattle, their playoffs hopes are done. I agree. They're in a loaded NFC West. I think it is time more or less to rest Russell Wilson for the end of the season and then get some picks and then reload for next year. But I am going to disagree that Pete Carroll should be out as the Seahawks head coach.
Hot take number 2. Just behind the Wizards in the Eastern Conference rankings are the team we all expected to be there in the New York Nets. The hot take for you to consider is the Nets are better without Kyrie Irving and should move him immediately. Do you take the bait?
I am going to take the bait because I absolutely love Kyrie Irving as a player. I love watching Kyrie Irving as a player. I do not love him as a team guy. Kyrie Irving is best suited to be on a team that has no expectations in the postseason and going out and giving you a highlight play night in and night out. The Nets move the ball a lot better without Kyrie Irving, and it gives more of a chance for James Harden to set up Kevin Durant and Patty Mills and Joe Harris. So, yes, I will absolutely take the bait that the Nets are better without Kyrie Irving.
He has taken the bait on the Nets. Les, hot take the 3rd, which is weird because we've already kind of addressed this in a way, but it's time to think about it again. The Browns should not re-sign Baker Mayfield at all or even negotiate with him, and rather let him walk and take their chances on the trade market with a new quarterback. Do you take the bait?
No, because I think he just needs to get healthy. He is the perfect quarterback for this system that they want to run, and I believe that they need to just let him get healthy. I do not take the bait.
Hot take number 4. This year's Gonzaga team is better than last year's, and Eve has an even greater chance to finish undefeated because of Chet Holmgren.
I absolutely take the bait on that because, look, Jalen Suggs is a great point guard. Jalen Suggs could really push the tempo. But Chet Holmgren, at his very worst, like what we saw against Texas, is a guy that can shut down an area of the field. That level of defense is something that Jalen Suggs, Corey Kispert, nor Joel Ayayi could bring to last year's team. So, yes, they have a better chance to go undefeated. Do I still think they are? No, I don't believe any team will go undefeated in the modern age of college basketball. But I do think that they are a better team than last year. And if I had to give it a percentage chance, yes, I would say that this team has a better percentage to go undefeated this year than last year.
Your 5th and final hot take. Georgia is at least 14 points better than Alabama this year. Do you take the bait?
With how they've played and with how consistently they played, I absolutely agree. Alabama is Alabama because the games they're going to look really good, but there's other games where they should have just blown the doors off of the opponent they play, and they haven't. Georgia has just dominated everyone that they have faced. So yes, going into the matchup, I would 110% agree that Georgia is at least a 14-point favorite against Alabama. Does that mean that I think it will be a 14-point game? Maybe, maybe not. But yes, up to this point, from what we've seen from both the Bulldogs and the Tide, I would 110% say that the Bulldogs are 14 points better than the Tide.
You have completed the trials of taking the bait. Congratulations. You will be forever judged by these hot takes until the end of time.
That's okay. I can manage. Oh, buddy. Oh, I like that segment actually.
It makes me feel cool because I can put you on the spot and you don't know what's coming. But
That's
I'm
fine.
not going to leave you out to dry with a soccer hot take or something like Ronaldo did not lead Portugal to the World Cup. Should he be should his legacy be thrown aside? Because I don't know.
I thought he did lead Portugal to the World Cup though.
No, they got beat by Serbia and now they have to go to a playoff to get into the World Cup.
No, I feel like he has in the past is what I'm saying. Not
he
recently.
has in the past, but this would be his sixth. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I was like,
yeah.
Now, I know Messi has never led Argentina to a World Cup.
Ooh. Maybe that'll be on next week. That'll be on next month's Take the Bait. I'm just going to hit you with soccer take after soccer take until you can't do it anymore.
Could there be a segment called Phone a Friend? I might call my friend Jacob Teasley and see if he who needs to watch this podcast, Teasley.
We need to do that. We need to have Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with Less. I just find random sports stats and be like, hey, who led the major league in batting average in 1898? And just see if he's like, help me.
Call DJ.
Who led the major league?
Call Teasley.
Yeah. What about hockey? Do you have a hockey guy, or can I?
I like the Tampa Bay Lightning. But other than that, I don't know much about hockey. I know, obviously, Crosby's really good. I know that what was it, David McDavid or what was it? Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid's really good, and him and his teammate are doing some historic duo that I saw on SportsCenter the other day. But no, I'm not. Usually, basketball, football, and baseball are my areas of expertise.
Join us next week as we discuss rugby.
Oh, yeah, you got me there.
The All Blacks of New Zealand, are they ready to take on the Tongan national team in epic combat? Join us next week.
And the week after, we might just do cricket. Just go it all.
Go Sri Lanka, I guess. They have a good cricket team. Through the wickets we go. Ooh, that's where the name of the podcast is now officially Through the Wicket.
Through the Wickets. And I'm waiting, and then at this rate, I'm waiting for the podcast where we cover squash.
We could do that.
Talk about the richest white guy sport ever, squash.
Which is why we don't play it.
Yeah, we might be white, but we're not rich.
And on that positive note, Les, I believe it's time to head out for the week.
Yes. That concludes this episode of the Less is More Sports podcast. As always, like and subscribe to the Less is More Sports podcast channel and tell us what you liked and what you didn't like in the comment section below. But without further ado, Matt and I are out.
Goodbye.